Planes, Trains, and Automobiles was directed by John Hughes and stars Steve Martin and John Candy, the late great John Candy. Man, I miss him in movies. I have wanted to talk about this movie every single Thanksgiving, and something always comes up. I always miss it, and I move on to the next year, and I think this will be the year I talk about Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and then Thanksgiving goes by and it doesn't happen again, and I was like, this year we're talking about it. Whether or not you celebrate Thanksgiving, none of that really matters to me. Thanksgiving to me is a great turkey dinner, and I see a few people that I like, and that's about it. But this year it's an excuse to talk about one of my favorite comedies. This film follows a businessman played by Steve Martin who's trying to get home to see his family for Thanksgiving. Along the way, every single problem that could ever happen with his transportation does happen, and he keeps running into John Candy, a lovable but kind of annoying person, and they end up discovering things about themselves along their journey that they did not know. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is fucking hilarious. I have always found this movie very funny. I'm a big Steve Martin fan, and I love John Candy, and whenever Steve Martin is like really on fire, he can do just about anything. And this movie, he is absolutely the straight man because he has to sit there and be annoyed with John Candy the whole movie. And I think this film pulls off an actual miracle in that John Candy's character is supposed to be horrifyingly annoying in every way. And yet you love him. And you know the film is working when these two characters get separated. You, in real life, would be thinking, oh, thank God, I'm finally free from this guy. But as viewers, we just want them to meet up again. And it's also a film that sort of disproves this theory that if characters are supposed to be at odds with each other in a movie, that they're not supposed to have chemistry. Steve Martin and John Candy work fucking magic together throughout the whole film, even though their characters kind of hate each other for a while. I also love how Kevin Bacon is just in the beginning of this movie with no lines at all, just chasing down a taxi cab that Steve Martin also wants to get. And soon we run into what I just call the John Hughes house. John Hughes loves big brick homes. He just loved that shit, man. And between the late 80s and early 90s, he made so many holiday movies. I mean, you got Home Alone, Home Alone 2, Christmas Vacation, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I'm probably forgetting something else, but he just made a shit ton of holiday movies in a row, and they're all good. It's kind of cool, actually. Early on in the film, when John Candy and Steve Martin are trapped on this plane together, the old guy sleeping next to Steve Martin is the same old guy from Home Alone that Catherine O'Hara bribes to get his plane ticket so she can get home to Kevin. So I'm wondering if this plane that he's on with Steve Martin is actually the other flight that he took instead of the one that he was originally going to take. And as a kid, I didn't realize that Dylan Baker is in this movie, and he's goddamn hilarious. I always think about him from Trick or Treat, or from Spider-Man, of course, but his brief appearance in this movie is extremely memorable. There's also a sequence on a train where, of course, the train has issues and they have to leave the train and everyone just sort of fans out into the woods, and I couldn't help but think about this scene from The Happening.
But why are you giving me one useless piece of information at a time? What's going on? Hey, why would you just stop? You can't just leave us here.
And the only reason this movie is rated R is because of one scene. There's this epic F-word scene where Steve Martin just unloads on this cashier at an airport. It's an iconic scene at this point, but if you ever watch that scene on TV, it's pretty fucking hilarious to hear all the edits. And something about this film that's always impressed me is that it actually is genuinely heartwarming. It's kind of a magic trick, actually. Because as I said, the whole movie is these two characters, especially one, Steve Martin, who just can't stand being around the other. And eventually, John Candy's character also kind of gets like, hey, why are you so mad at me? I'm just trying to be nice to you. You understand why they're both at odds with each other, but as the film goes on, Hughes pulls off this miracle at making you actually really care about them. And that's incredibly difficult to do. There are so many films that try to be like this. The Cable Guy is a good example. Jim Carrey thinking that Matthew Broderick is his buddy and then following him everywhere. Not quite as heartwarming as Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. There's tons of movies where you have like that really lovable oaf who follows the regular guy around and you're supposed to feel something and you just don't. John Hughes captured something with Planes, Trains, and Automobiles that most comedies that try for this formula have never been able to achieve. So much of it is due to Martin and Candy. They really do work extremely well together. And it is one of the funnier movies they've both been in. And Steve Martin isn't even really trying to be funny. There's plenty of films where he goes over the top, like the Pink Panther movies, or The Man with Two Brains, or The Jerk, or All of Me, but or Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. That's a really good one. But with this one, he is completely straight the whole time, and he's fucking hilarious because he's that perfect punching bag for John Candy's antics, like the pillow between the legs that isn't a pillow. An interesting tidbit about this movie I've always liked is the sequence near the end, and I guess spoilers if you've never seen the film, where Steve Martin is on the subway train and you see him kind of thinking about everything that happened throughout the film and starting to feel a little guilty about some things, was, from what I understand, candid. I've read that he didn't know the camera was on him and he was just actually preparing for a scene, and they used that footage as a very genuine way for him to remember things that happened. And it works really well. If you haven't seen the film in a long time, or maybe you've never seen the film at all, I would highly recommend checking it out. If you are having Thanksgiving festivities, watch it with your family if they're okay with a lot of F words in one part. I hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you so much as always for watching. Look forward to more videos very soon. And if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.